Hi, Dr. Yi. This is Mark Mullins from Sociology 241. This is my video reflection on um, the module on law. And yeah, the data you sent me on the you emailed to me. It was pretty sobering. About I police shootings. I mean, it's of course, it's become more, people have become more aware to the prevalence of it, but to see the numbers and see the faces of the people, like it's just, sad, and it's pretty messed up, and I'm looking at it right now, and it's just, looking at these numbers and everything about shootings, and they put faces to it, to put faces to these numbers, and I see that it's not just any particular race of people or demographic that gets shot by police. It's all types of people. And it's I've been hearing a lot about what what the reason for police are, and like I heard some people say they're here to enforce the law, not protect our rights, and that's what lawyers are for. And I was watching documentaries this morning, actually, and before I left the class, and uh, there was anti-fascist demonstrators who have got maced and beaten by or anti-fascist, yeah. Anyway, they got maced, and they were just um, protesting the the tenets of white supremacists, and things like that. And they interviewed a lady that was a victim of that, and she said, is it normal for anti-fascist, you know protesters, as she said, to go to the police, to report them, to do that? And she's like, no, it's not, because we've lost trust in the system that allowed these groups to form and condones these type of things, especially when there's a president who only condemns them, basically, out of being, seems like he's pushing a corner to, it seemed like it took him so long to back up and say, oh, I'm not a part of this, I'm not a part of this, I'm not a part of this. And it seemed like he backed up into a corner where everybody's just like, you got to say something. You're the president. There's a killing. There's a murder and everything. And the shit he said is just off the wall. And it's like, oh, there's bad people, good people on both sides, whatever. Like, what kind of shit is that? Somebody got murdered, like, by white supremacists. I mean, man. But yeah, I look at the types of laws that were passed, you know, in the past, that were passed, you know, decades ago, and um, basically centuries ago, the types of laws that were passed then, and going back to the um the way, shit, where was I going with that? Going back to the health thing, where laws were passed back then. I had mentioned that I found it interesting about how laws were passed then for for like for healthcare, and then later on, then they pass a law about kids need to be our priority, basically. But going back to law, like, it seems like some laws were like really messed up, like the the removal of Native Americans and the acquisition of their land, and things like that, and I read about that, and it's really messed up. And like the law, you know, made this okay, made settlers, European settlers, say, all right, cool, it's legal there. It's what's legal. It's what you can get away with, or and a lot of you know what I got from the documentary this morning too is how she's like, no, we don't go to the police because we don't trust them. That's the system that failed us. That's the system that that these white supremacists and um, fascists, as she said, use to demonstrate and to act out and just say, well, I can get away with this. It's legal for me to open carry, and if I feel like my life's in danger, then I'll shoot you, or I'll shoot you in the knee, or some shit like that, or mace you. Like the whole stand your ground, that whole stand your ground law. Yeah, there's it's a double edged sword. Stand your ground is if you're, one thing is, I heard people like I've spent a lot of time in like I don't want to say a lot of time. I spent time in like gun shops and stuff like that, and learning about various firearms and weaponry. And man, I hear people go on and on about the law, this, the law. They know back and forth, and they know the edge of their actions and the legality of what they're doing, and the boundaries. They're well aware of it, and that's what they use to get away with certain things and condone certain behaviors. Like I've gone to the skate park and I was just skating, and some dude not skating on a bike, not there recreationally, at least not in a positive way, I should say, but just walk around with the gun, strutting like he's like big shit or whatever. But we're just people there just to have a good time, and I was just skating, and he walks by, and you're in the skate park, you don't just stand in the middle of a skate park. You're gonna get hit, or you're gonna get close to being hit. That's exactly what happened. Is I almost hit him, and he's like, "You better watch out. I'm gonna have to put you down." And man, me instinctively, to say something, react, to something like that as like a threat, like on my life, like I reacted, and it was in a way that I, I would approve of now in hindsight, but when it came down to it, he knew like what he can get away with, and he knew he had privilege, and he's like, oh, you don't know who my dad is, he runs like he's a district attorney for here or whatever, or he said some shit like that, like, oh, my dad's attorney, I know the laws, I can carry here, and you almost hit me, and so you're going fast, and you're bigger than me, so I feel like my life's in danger, so I could just shoot you right now, in below the knee, it won't be attempted murder, and oh, man, I can go. I'm not gonna go on about that, about what happened that night, but anyways, like, see, a lot of people know these boundaries, and that's what they use. And that's exactly what that lady had said in that documentary. She's like, yeah, this seems like the system of laws, and it seems like the police and the attorneys and everything, and the people who have the money to pay off the attorneys and the legal fees, they'll find a way to turn it back on us. That's why we don't go to the police. We don't as to say, snitch. We don't snitch. We deal with it our own way, and we protest, demonstrate. We take it. We take these hits, and we deal with it, and we go on. And she went on to talk about how there were police shootings and why, their type of group and others similar to them with different ideals, have formed out of the wake of people being shot, as repercussions to the murder and the legality of the murder as I should say I don't know, as judged by a jury. They didn't convict him or whatever. He was found not guilty because I don't know exactly, but I was told that it was because of that law that he was able to get away with it. And these laws that are being passed, like man, there's so many different ways. You can come at certain things. Racism and law is a big part of it. Freedom of speech. Yeah, okay, people have freedom of speech, but where does that go when people are chanting, racist remarks, things like that? Freedom of speech, okay, but they've used that to demonstrate and make their presence known, and obviously they know these laws, and I think like the law is a really strong, powerful way to people for people to go about solving problems. You know, go become like a politician and go through legislation and get laws passed and things like that. You know, rally as many people, as many senators or whatever. You know, lobby for certain laws to be passed. That like the whole um, firearms thing. Um, like man, there's just so much to debate about that. People would want to feel safe, but they're not always in danger. Like they say, you're 80% more likely to use that gun on yourself or somebody in your family to use that gun on themselves or you. And yeah, and like I think we here, in the United States, we could take a lot from other countries and their legal system, like the way Japan requires firearm owners to pass like a psych evaluation, go to the hospital, get evaluated, go through a bunch of classes to own it, to even touch a gun before they even touch a gun. Handle a gun. And then to reach that point where they get the name in their gun, the gun in their name in their house, in their possession, and able to store, and they can only store it in a safe, and the ammunition separately, and the police have to come in once a year, I believe, to check on the gun, make sure it's in your possession, where it is, it's okay, though, everything's up to up to code, basically, up to the standards that you're held at in legal standards you're held at in Japan for firearms. In Australia, and I'm not saying that having no guns solves all problems, but it solves a lot of problems, a lot of issues, especially when it comes to um, legal loopholes that people follow and people use. And yeah, that's just my video reflection on law. Thank you.